When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
All right, welcome back to the Elias Macko Show. Now, apparently over 800,000 Quebecers are at risk of losing their jobs thanks to artificial intelligence. Cashiers, administrative assistants, auditors, perhaps all jobs that could soon be replaced by artificial intelligence. A new study showing that nearly 1 in 5 Quebecers on the job market will be affected by the surge in AI. Let's see if we really should be concerned. Rob Glew joins us now, Assistant Professor of Operations Management and AI at the Desautels Faculty of Management over at McGill University. Rob, welcome to the program.
Hi, Elias. It's nice to be here.
First thing I want to talk about is the term artificial intelligence. I sometimes feel like this term is not appropriate. I don't know how intelligent it is, and I don't know how artificial it is. But I'd love to know your take here on the defining artificial intelligence and how you view that.
Well, I think that's a really good question, Elias, especially in the context of this report that's come out this week, because I think in here they talk a lot about automation, which is, robots replacing humans, robots doing tasks. And robots can be pretty dumb, to be honest. Like to put welds in a car body, I don't think you need a high degree of artificial intelligence. So I think that when we're thinking about it replacing jobs, we're really at the moment talking about algorithms or robots or equipment that can do kind of these very specific tasks that might replace a human. And I think you see that when you read the report and you look at the areas most at risk, like areas like farming, where there is a lot of simple tasks that are repeated very often. Now, they take a high degree of skill to do, but I think they are repeated season after season, if you like.
And, I think what you're getting to is one of the reasons why I'm sometimes skeptical of reports like this. For instance, my bank. I've got a bank, and if you need some customer service, their first line of customer service is, we're going to give you our AI chatbot. And they're so convinced our AI chatbot is amazing, and it's powered by one of those big platforms that now exist, right, from those big tech companies. And I use it. It cannot understand what I actually want. I get frustrated, end up talking to a human anyways, right? And that's where I go, I don't know how intelligent these things are. I wonder how you view that, right? And it's one thing about superhuman repetition being human functions being replicated. It's another thing to really think on the fly. So tell me about that and the evolution of AI and just how well it can actually think.
The banking point is a really good one, Elias. I think Bloomberg said last month that they expect globally banks to cut around 200,000 jobs to be replaced with AI. And I think they're probably in the kind of positions you're talking about there. We may well find ourselves more frustrated by banking chatbots as we go into the future. Mm-hmm. I think if you want a historical precedent for the moment we're at, which I think it sounds like, you mentioned there, how can we look back and think about it? One similar scenario that's happened before was European manufacturing at the end of the Second World War. For the best part of a decade, manufacturing has been solely devoted to arms and equipment for fighting. And then suddenly, at the end of the war, 40 to 50% of the entire workforce was working in an industry that was then immediately redundant. Mm-hmm. And it was a period of immense technologically driven social challenge. But when you look, you say, well, 10 years later, there was a global economic boom driven by that change in the allocation of labor. So it's not necessarily something I think we need to be really, really scared about at this point necessarily, even given these big numbers, right? 800,000 people in Quebec at risk. It can sound very threatening on the high level.
We're with Rob Glew from McGill University talking about artificial intelligence and how they'll affect the job market. Rob, let's look at the other side of things, right? Because let's take this study at face value and poof, in the night go 800,000 jobs. Isn't it also the case, like we've seen in the past with other technological innovations, that perhaps these jobs will very rapidly be replaced with newer jobs, perhaps better jobs?
That's what we can all hope for. I think that's the utopian future that we would like to see. I read some interesting work out of the American National Bureau of Economic Research, where they were saying that what they predict will happen over the next 5 years is that there'll be this very short-term churn in a lot of industries where automation, be it robots or AI, begins to replace people, but at the same time that lowers the cost of producing products. And that lowers the cost we as consumers pay, and that they hope will increase demand. And then suddenly there's more demand for jobs. And so although we might see the labor cost for every product produced decrease, we might also see the amount of labor required to produce these products increase as our demand grows in response. I think that's one way in which we can see a more positive future here.
Rob, I wonder how you view the progress of artificial intelligence, because I've heard a couple of conflicting thoughts on that. I've heard some people, and murmurs in the background, people in artificial intelligence, there's so many great minds in this city that are in AI. There's some concerns that there have been some walls hit, that they expected a little bit more progress, and some walls are being hit on some of these models, right? These LLM models, right? These large language models. And the other flip side I've heard is, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. And of course, AI is the buzzword now at every conference, in every industry, in every press release. How do you view the progress going forward?
So a very good question. I would split it in half. I think technically, on the technical side, there are some challenges that people researching purely the AI technology are seeing, which is just that it takes so much time and so much data and so much energy to train these models like LLMs, like you mentioned, and more general models that are coming, multimedia models like the latest video producing models from OpenAI. They just take so much input data, and we're already putting into them almost all of human existence and knowledge. And so it becomes challenging to get any better than that. But on the flip side, I think what we're seeing more, and what I'm seeing as I talk to companies and do research, is that the applications of AI are only growing. And so even if the technology changes very little from where it is now, more and more companies will explore more and more applications that both complement people. And so, you and I in our jobs, all of us will be using AI in some regard, but probably also, as this report suggests, it will begin to replace some people. I think our hope can just be that the jobs it replaces are the hardest, most boring and least paid jobs, and that those people are able to find actually better, more fulfilling work because of this revolution in technology. Is
there a way for our listeners to make themselves AI proof?
That's a very good question. I worry as a university professor. I see my students typing into ChatGPT, and it can be as good as I am sometimes. I think that one thing that everyone can do is think about how they can use AI to complement and rather than replace themselves. There's a great report by Statistics Canada that looks at the different areas where AI might be a threat to employment or it might be a boost to people's productivity. And in most industries, they suggest it's more of a boost to productivity if people can work alongside it. So I think people should embrace AI. And I don't mean kind of learn to program necessarily, but I mean to think, what elements of my job might be something that ChatGPT can help with? Like if I'm a copy editor, that is one of the fields that people suggest is most at risk from AI. But there is also a new world where there'll be a market for AI-assisted copy editors. How can you use AI to boost your productivity, be better at what you do? I think that's the most hopeful outlook we can give.
Rob, a fascinating discussion. Thanks for adding your voice to the program. I appreciate it.
No problem.
That's Rob Glew, Assistant Professor of Operations Management and Artificial Intelligence at the Desautels Faculty of Management at McGill University.